Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, governors. Governor Cooper, congratulations on your executive order to fight climate change this tremendous information that can probably be given out to the general public to have them be part of the solution, not just the government, because sometimes rely everything on government. One of the things that I'm looking at is you stated removing underutilized dams and restoring floodplains. That's a great point that we need here in Congress, especially funding for recycled water and conservation education of the public, to have them understand that we need more water to fight fires and to generally provide for the public, for the communities that we serve. However, there's reticence in this committee to fund recycled water projects. There's used to be a $37 million for 17 Western states. I'm asking for $500 million for the future because we have to prepare for ongoing drought and ongoing fires and everything else. So Justice, how can we improve public-private partnerships? Two of you.
Well, I think in North Carolina, we're already doing that. We know that we have a lot of areas that are in danger of flooding. We have put advanced flood mapping in place. So now that we know what to evacuate and where areas are going to be flooded, we're taking significant mitigation steps where we're using buyouts, elevations, and even strategic retreats.
Do you inform the general public of your plan so they can be supportive of what you are doing?
Yes, we incorporate what happens with our municipalities. They have to make these tough decisions, particularly about strategic retreat, because we've come to the realization that these floods are going to continue to occur. They're going to be fierce. We need to take our...
What about your aging infrastructure?
Aging infrastructure, and particularly wastewater treatment plants that are extremely vulnerable to flooding, helping local governments make sure that they are rebuilt and built in a resilient way. I've established the North Carolina Office of Resiliency and Recovery, and what we're doing is working with local municipalities on catch basins, trying to figure out ways to prevent what happens in the future, in addition to our efforts to fight climate change.
Thank you. Governor Baker, what policies can states and city governments put into place to build an inclusive green economy?
Well, I think one of the, to just sort of piggyback a little bit on your previous question to Governor Cooper, I'm a former local official, and I get the reason why it's really important to have local representation and local voices involved in discussions with respect to what happens in their communities. And that's why the vulnerability planning effort that we put together is a municipal vulnerability planning effort, because we want our colleagues in local government and local community leaders to be part of those conversations. And as I've said before, you know, you have 351 cities and towns. They all have, in Massachusetts, they all have different issues with respect to resiliency and adaptation. And we want to make sure whatever it is we do is supported at the local level, because if you don't have local support for it, it's not going to succeed, whatever it is you're pursuing, and it won't be sustained over time.
Yes.
So I agree completely with him on that one.
Part of what the discussion on the forest fires also leads to the fact that we don't fund the agency with enough money to do it. And what with the future threat of more fires, we should have enough funding there to be able to help them do the job they're meant to do. Do you agree?
I agree completely. We spend a lot of money, and we're grateful for it, on recovery. Not enough of that money that's dedicated to states and local governments is allowed to be used for mitigation and resilience. And when you look at a flooded area and see homes that have been elevated, or areas that have already been bought out and now are simply catching floodwater, you see the money that we're saving from from the action that we have taken. So I would encourage the Congress to give states more flexibility to use this recovery funding as we rebuild smarter and stronger, as we're trying to do in North Carolina, because we know it's coming again. Well, I'm going to keep saying we've got to fight this emission of greenhouse gases and to fight this overall climate change issue here. But we know in the next few decades that we're going to continue to deal with this severe weather. So we need to be smart about how we rebuild, and us being able to use that funding for mitigation and resilience.
Thank you,
is a
Governor.
positive
I
thing.
think we have to cut because the chairman is going to govern me out. But I tell you, 20 years ago, I tried climate change in one of my bills, and I lost it because nobody wanted to deal with climate change. Thank you.